live. Hello, once again. It is us here on Nerve Check. I am here with the looks and the brains to actually talk about something to do with the game that has nothing to do with tournaments. Or does it? We are here today to talk about scenarios, or at least some of them. So, John, Ray, how you doing today? And are we ready?
Absolutely.
I mean, we're always ready.
Grip it and rip it, right, John?
That's how we do it.
So, Ray, if you would do the honors and bring up our first scenario that we are going to be looking at. I'll go through the first one first. We are here looking at first with Invade. We figure start with something nice and simple and easy to go. The blackjack scoring, as you can see, is over there on our right. This one's pretty simple. At the end of the game, the units that have the most amount of unit strength over the other side, majority over, not just all of the unit, but majority over the opponent side of the board, count for their unit strength. If you have more, you win. It's that simple. What do we know about this? How do we set these up? And how do we go into these sorts of games? Ray, let me start with you.
I know this is going to be rocket science, Ben, but the first thing I do when I'm going to play Invade is I look at how much unit strength do I have and how much unit strength does my opponent have? And that's really the first question, because I played games where I have 2 more unit strength than my opponent, and I put everything on the right-hand side. He put everything on the left-hand side, and I'm like, but if you don't stop me, I win by 2. Like, it's that simple. So this is one of those games where that's probably the first thing I look for is, do I have a unit strength advantage? The next thing I look at is shooting, because you don't necessarily have to get your unit across if you can shoot the unit and stop them from moving over. Oftentimes you have low defense, unit strength 3 infantry regiments that are very valuable in a game such as Invade, but they're very easy to be shot off. So those are the things I look for as to how I can take them off my opponent. And then lastly, it's how can I stop my opponent from crossing the board? Because you don't have to kill the opponent, you just have to stop them from getting across. So first thing, what's the unit strength advantage or disadvantage I have? If I'm at a disadvantage, then I have to go after my opponent. I have to kill his unit strength or stop it from getting across. The second is shooting. Do I have an advantage or disadvantage in that? And third is, are there any high unit strength, low nerve, low defense, easy to kill units that can make the game a bit easier or closer right off the bat or swing in my favor? And that's what I look for. But John is smarter than me, so he has better advice coming up.
I don't have better advice. Last time I played Invade, I tried to just charge on turn 2 and kill his high value units, and it went very, very badly, where I should have just walked my garbage up, tied him up at half, and then flown all my flyers over to score, because I could have prevented most of the problems I had if I just played with my brain instead of playing with my balls. So, sometimes that's how it goes. But yeah, it's very similar, right? You just got to get more units across the board. I often look for ways to kill their unit strength so that I don't have to worry as much. Because if their guys are dead, they can't score.
Yeah.
And more than any other scenario, I think this is the one where your individuals with no unit strength are completely 100% expendable.
Oh yeah, big time. Throw them into stuff, getting them in the way, just sell their lives.
Yeah. When Titans were only worth like 1 point, I would
They were hilarious roadblocks.
Oh god, yeah! Just stick them in front and go. Can you do anything about it? No. Here comes a flank charge.
Yeah. So just run them up and just tilt them a little bit so that you force flank charge if they don't kill it in one shot, and have a field day.
So I think Ray, you basically hit this one crack on the head there. So why don't we go on to the next scenario and see what that one is? Control, one of my favorites. So Ray, why don't you give us an overview here?
So control, you divide the board into 6 2-foot by 2-foot squares, and at the end of the game, you simply add up the unit strength of each player's units in that square. The key is the center square across from you on your opponent's side is worth 2 victory points. Every other 2 foot by 2 foot section is only worth 1. The player with the highest unit strength in each square controls it. And that's it. It is exceptionally hard to get a +4, -4 from a blackjack perspective, because you would need to control all 6 squares at the end of the game, which means you need to have at least 6 scoring units alive at the end of the game. And with most players only going on average about 12 to 14 drops, often 11 scoring drops, to have 6 alive at the end of the game is a tall order. Ogres tend to be the army that really enjoys control, but John might enjoy this with his flying circus.
I don't hate this one. I would often something for a scenario like this is you don't have to have all 6 board squares to win the game.
No.
You need to have 4 points to win the game, because it's generally a max of 7 you can score, so you need 4. If you hold yours, grab his, and 2 other boxes, you win the game. So I often deploy heavier to one side to try to give me a better push into those 2 boxes and hold the middle ones, and then swing into his to grab it. So you don't have to spread across the whole board. You don't just have to line all your shit up in a row and walk it forward. Think about where you're going to have the better chance to score 4 points. And then if you can get more later, get more later.
I think the best way to look at this is you're playing on 2/3.
Yep.
Like find the 2/3 that you like the best at. Look where blocking terrain is. Look at that sort of a thing. I have won this scenario giving up both centers, which is only 3 points, but taking all 4 corners. Which is
unconventional and high risk, but it can be done.
But when people are not expecting something like that, like, 'cause everybody's diving in for those centers, and I'm like, cool, that's 3 points. There's 4 on the outside. If you can make it work, you can make it work. Again, shooting's not a big thing for this. Dwarves are really tough to shift out of their half on this. But I think flying is probably the end-all be-all for this sort of a scenario, or at least speed. Being able to dart into one section or the other is something that you really have to look for.
The last turn scatter is a real thing in this one. If I manage to keep all my little individual flyers alive, I can just fly them from the center to any scoring zone that's left unattended.
So a question, which I guess we should have done with Invade, is in Invade, do you want to go first or second?
I was thinking about doing this at the end of all 3. However, I actually prefer to go second on both of these.
Really?
I really do. Well, you can either force the issue or you can plan for the end. And as famously Corey Reynolds did to me, playing last sometimes means you're playing best. So I actually think on Invade and being able to make that last little run forward, and on this one, it's probably best to play second. How about you there, John?
Invade, I prefer to go first almost always, especially with the kind of lists I gravitate towards. I like to set the pace and push the threat line so that they feel unsafe moving out of their deployment zone, basically. So if I get first turn, I can move up. I've got shooting. I've got, actual melee threats that can be in combat on turn 2 if I really want to, or if I get a good look. Control is different. Control, I am indifferent.
I think for me, for Invade, I want to go first, even if I'm playing with something like Ratkin, which only moves 6. Even if you go 6 inches up, you then control the center line with your 12-inch threat. If you can get
Ratkin control because they are 6 inches, so they can put a lot of threat forward,
with control, I want to go second. Even when I'm playing something like Goblins with their bloody wingets with 1 unit strength, like just being able to control that unit strength 1 deluge of little flyers or ogres or whatever that you face. Control is definitely a scenario where I want to minimize that, and I want to go second, because having the ability to know how much unit strength your opponent has put in each quadrant and being able to just go, here's one more unit strength than that,
Yeah.
it is the most satisfying / annoying thing, depending upon which side of the equation you're on.
Yeah, let's be clear here. The number one thing you need to know how to play both of these scenarios is counting. Knowing you're laughing, but
No, I'm laughing because you're right.
yeah, the just taking those couple of extra seconds on turn 5 and going, you have this many points, I have this many points.
Turn 5, you got to start that on turn 4. Turn 4, count the unit strength in the zones. It's a real thing. Take a minute and count.
I find that I have,
and you can do it on your opponent's turn. You don't have to do it on yours.
Oh yeah, and don't tell them. Don't do it out loud. Don't start counting on your fingers because it really.
Or do it out loud, and when they say, "What are you doing?" just look at them and be like, "Oh, I forgot."
Yeah.
Way to interrupt me. Now I got to start again.
Or even better, do it on your feet. Like just pull your socks off and start doing that. That'll pass them out. That'll be great. So, so why don't we get on to our third for today? Unless anybody has anything else, which I don't think we do.
Nope.
All right. John, this one's over to you.
Sweet. I get hold the line. So this is this is kind of a combo of both. So there's a band across the middle, 6 inches on either side of the center line. So a 12-inch belt across the middle divided into 3 zones that you need to control at the end of the game to score points. 3 points for the middle, 2 points for either side box. So similar to Invade, you don't need them all to win the game. You need any 2 of them. Any 2 wins. You want to play high risk like Ben, take the side. You want to play like a normal person, take the middle and one side. So look at your scenario, look at the map, look at the terrain, look at which one that you can kind of anchor off and block charges with and build off that. I, again, usually deploy on 2/3 of the board for this one, maybe with some nominal threat on the far side to keep people honest, but that's about it. You need 2 of them to win.
With me, I normally don't care if I'm going first or second on this one. I really do like this scenario. I'll like to pressure and force people into making a decision, or I'll sit back and let them make a decision and show them that they made the wrong one, or at least hope that I can make them show the wrong one. But again, the number one thing you need to do while you are playing this is count. Count how many points they've got in, how much unit strength they've got in each section. Make your decisions from that. Back up. Like there's
backing up is a thing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with straddling the line between one side and the middle and going, there's no way in hell I'm taking the middle, and just backing up and ensuring those points. Right?
Now with this one they put a weird rule in it though. So when you're counting up the unit strength, and feel free to measure, like you can measure the zones to make sure. They have a weird one on here where the unit, you have to be clear which zone it's in. So that has to be clear and upfront. And if you cannot tell by a clear majority which unit is in, it's considered in neither. So if you don't know for sure which zone your unit's in, it doesn't score.
Yeah. So be precise, be clear, and make sure both of you are like, yep, that makes sense. And if it isn't, call a bloody judge. It's not that hard. Nobody we've ever played has ever said, oh, I can't believe you're going to do that. No, we all want it all to be right. In all 3 of these scenarios, because of the way they're set, shooting is not a big deal. It's still a good thing to have, but not a great deal. I still think flyers are probably one of the better things to have for this sort of thing, and maybe some defense type of unit, something that can stand in front.
I honestly think that this is the scenario of the 3 we've discussed where flyers matter the least.
Yeah,
John, because in control you very much have the spread, the turn 6. Mm-hmm. I go last. I want my flyers to go any which way they want. For Invade, having the ability to jump 20 inches in turn to cause the threat, which delays the movement across the board, is a real issue. On this one, because really the center line where you begin scoring is only 6 inches past my deployment zone. Mm-hmm. the flyers have a harder time jumping over me, using their mobility to really impact my ability to get troops into those deployment zones, because it's really 8 inches is all I have to go. So even dwarfs are able to make that move. Like if stunties can do this move, everyone else can.
It is. I think the flyers are less impactful. The only advantage this scenario gives specifically to flyers is I know where your units are going to be. Yes. With control, you can spread out, you can hide them, you can tuck them behind terrain. I know you're going to be within 6 inches of center. So if I can fly something 20 inches and turn it into threat, odds are I'm going to be looking at a flank or a rear, because you have to move up to that center. You can't score it from the back line. So there is that, but it is less. There's less scatter and less easy scoring, if you would think of it that way, than control. Because control, I can fly them into a far corner and just have them hide.
But even that threat you're talking about, John, for invade, I have to get 12 inches up before I count for scoring. So it's really 12 to 14 once I get the majority onto the other side. For this one, it's only 6 to 8 inches past mine. So the flyer has more work to do in this scenario to get that move 20, turn 90, threaten the flanks and rears. So I think
sometimes
it's the hardest one of the three that we've discussed for flyers.
Well, it's just the least. It's the hardest for flyers. It's not.
Well, the other problem,
you're still playing flyers, so it's still on easy mode. But
well, I mean, that's how I like it.
The other problems that flyers will run into is the fact they can't land in difficult terrain, and a lot of the center will have difficult terrain. There'll be a wall, there'll be a forest.
Well, that's just how we play, because we play obnoxious maps.
Epic
Dwarf, there's a lot of landing places.
Okay, so if you want to play on a real table, you play with our maps, and if you want to play on everything else, you play on Epic Dwarf.
Not our maps. I stole them fair and square from the Australians.
Well, they hate everybody, so that's why they make them so hard. Do we have anything else?
I do think that this was one of the better scenarios that Mantic has come out with beyond the original 12 and version 3. This is a fun scenario. It's a good introductory scenario. Actually, all 3 of these are good ones. If you're running introduce somebody to Kings of War, Invade's very simple, hold the line's very simple. Control's probably the most complicated of the 3. So if you're doing a demo game, this is a good one. Invade's a good one to start with, to say, here's a scenario, like let's play this scenario and give it a go.
Yeah. And the other thing is that all 3 of these scenarios are not easy to score a blackjack.
They're really hard to blackjack. Yeah.
This is normally something where you're looking at a 17-4 and 18-3 at max. There's a lot of, especially on like this one, there will be a lot of, 5-2 or 4-3, or much like Invade, there'll be a lot of things where, there'll be like a 4-point difference or a 1-point difference in, the units that have gotten over and survived and all the rest of that. And the kill points won't be huge. So it'll, again, teach counting, which is a great thing. But it'll also kind of show them that here are the points differences. This is why we score these things these ways.
So for these 3 scenarios, are there any armies? Ben, how does your Trident Realm like these 3 scenarios?
Loves all of them. Absolutely loves all. I am not kidding. I will force the issue and invade. I will hold the line in control. Mine is, I have a lot of speed in my Trident Realm army, so I can pop off and hit the corners pretty damn easy, and I can make a nice solid center with a bunch of gigas in that sort of thing. And in this, I can, and have done, I can attack 2/3 as we were saying about most of this. You can attack 2/3 and threaten the other side pretty damn efficiently, and still be able to hold people up because of the ensnare and because of how tough the army actually is.
So you're saying it's a tough shell to crack?
I wouldn't say that, but some might. You might be foolish if you thought otherwise.
And that they handle these scenarios efficiently.
I'm loving every one of these dad jokes.
Well, for me, when I'm playing Ratkin, I like Invade because I normally have a lot more unit strength than the opposition. And I like Hold the Line, but I actually don't like Control. That's the one that I find to be the hardest to play with an infantry-based Ratkin list. Because you don't have those quick maneuvers to be able to expand and threaten at least two of the squares, one of the flanks, with an infantry-based Ratkin army. So you're essentially saying I'm giving up 2 points no matter what right off the start, and you don't have the mobility. It's as John said, if you're playing an infantry-based Ratkin, people know where your units are going to be as soon as you deploy them. So that's fine for holding the line. It's fine for invade because facing flying lists like John's, it's I have phalanx, I'm marching my infantry forward. You have to stop me from getting across because I probably have more unit strength than you. Hold the line, I just have to get into the middle. But control is where the problems come because not only do you have to get onto the other side, you have to be able to threaten, be in 4 of the boxes, and not lose the unit strength contest, which I often find to be a
challenge. You've got to defend 4 units, 4 boxes. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. So playing Ratkin, that one is the hardest scenario. For my Forces of Abyss, it's the exact opposite because my Forces of Abyss are very fast and nimble. So I like the control because I can run around wherever I want to be.
Correct. And yeah, control is a lot of board to cover during the game, right? Because you may have to go from one side all the way to the far side of the board, like from left to right, to score zones or to shore up defense or to just be a nuisance. So mobility armies have a distinct advantage in control, I think. So
you got anything to add for Mr. Flyer Man?
I mean, Invade, when I play it with my brain, is great. I love it because I just walk my garbage up and tie you up in the middle and then can fly over or kill things and have a lovely day. Control, yeah, if I don't have to throw away my little children on Pegasus, they can just fly to a far corner and score a zone at the end of the game. Yeah. Or the obnoxious thing is just kind of hop just over the line so that they score it, just to be rude, right? Not even fly them deep, like just over. And hold the line. I actually really like hold the line as a scenario because it forces a game to happen. Control can sometimes turn into a weird standoff where you just wait for late game scoring, just like Invade can, because you'll kind of line up across from each other and everybody waits and waits and waits, and nobody wants to be the one to commit and start the chain reaction of combats to see where things end up. So it can turn into kind of a stale feeling game if you let it, where hold the line, it's not a big zone to score, so you got to get into it and you got to hold it, and they're coming for it too. So,
all right. So we've learned that counting is important
and heart.
Okay, and heart.
Heart, yeah.
Counting. Oh, and heart.
It's hard.
It's definitely hard.
Yeah, hard.
I thought you said heart. I'm like, what the hell?
Like a crab shell.
Like a crab shell. There you go. Counting is important, and remember, you do not have to table your opponent. You only have to win by 1. Just make sure that you're on the right side of that 1, and you'll be fine. Play on 2/3 of the board, and don't take the obstruction in your side of the board unless you know what the fuck to do with the damn thing.
The old deployment zone obstruction. Hilarious.
If you want to know what 2/3 of the board you're playing on, look at whichever side of the board is 2/3 without the impassable piece of terrain, and that's the 2/3 that you're picking. You're not picking the side that's 2/3 with an impassable one halfway through, so it's like 1/3 impassable in the middle. You don't want that, especially if you're going against John's Flyers, because you're going to move past that impassable piece and give up 2 beautiful flanks, and John's going to just say thank you.
And I will get him every time.
Yes, he will. Yep, he'll blow you a kiss while he does it too.
So if you have any questions as to which 2/3 you're playing on, just look where the impassable is and pick the 2/3 where there's actually 2/3 stable.
Well, for now, that is the first 3 scenarios we will tackle. There'll be more in this coming down the pipeline. Hopefully, somebody will learn about counting at this point in time. And I keep saying counting because it's the one thing that a lot of people don't do. That is 6.
No, it's 7.
There are 4 lights. Now, just because it's going off the rails again.
I feel like we should be doing the Sesame Street counting song there. With the marble that rolls through the whole
1, 2,
thing.
3, 4, 5,
That's
6,
the
7, 8,
one.
9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I'm not old. But until the next time that we tackle something else, and at some point we will take a look at all of these scenarios. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all again in the next one.
Bye.
Bye, guys.